Okay, let's look at in Sydney in particular. It's a joint effort by the New South Wales government and the federal government on supporting businesses. I'm about to speak to one business who is a restaurant, hospitality, no-brainer. They should be getting these payments 10 weeks on and they're still not getting it. And I guess the other side of this, Mr Chalmers, is that 10 weeks in, do they need to look at the payments again, seeing as we're probably only at the halfway mark here in New South Wales?
Yeah, it beggars belief that small businesses are still being left in the lurch this far into such a devastating lockdown. And if the feedback from your guest is anything like the feedback that I've been getting from businesses in Sydney, but also around the country, they can't quite understand why the Prime Minister and the Treasurer, they pop up and they make these big announcements and then they don't follow through. And the people who wear the costs and consequences of that are small businesses and the people that they employ. It's unforgivable. As Chris Minns has said in New South Wales, that so many businesses are still being left in the lurch weeks and weeks into this lockdown. What we need to see is not just the announcement made by Prime Ministers and Premiers, but the actual follow through, because the costs of getting that wrong are diabolical for too many people in Sydney and further afield.
What about the plan to open up? Whether you look at the Doherty Institute modelling or not, and you can always argue about case numbers. If we don't open up at 80%, start getting our borders internally down, start getting international students back, when do we?
Oh, look, as I said before, Laura, I think people are exhausted and they're well and truly over it, and we don't want the lockdowns to go longer than is necessary. We actually support the national plan. The question mark over the national plan is not over our support for it, it's over the Prime Minister's capacity to deliver it, given the form he has on those failures on quarantine and vaccinations and also economic support, as we were just discussing a moment ago.
But no question, stick to the plan.
We support the plan. I mean, Mark Butler, Anthony Albanese, all of our colleagues have been saying that for some time now. We support the plan. We want to see the Prime Minister actually implement it. We want to see the Prime Minister make it clear to Australian parents in particular where our kids fit into that plan. The 12 to 15s in particular, we need a plan for them. I think even parents of younger kids like yourself, Laura, and like me and like many of our peers and our contemporaries, we want to know where kids fit into this plan as well. What we want to see from the Prime Minister is less picking fights over the national plan and more effort to actually implement it and to find a place for our kids in that plan so that we can emerge from these lockdowns with confidence.
Perhaps you need to have a quiet word to the Queensland Premier as well about that then.
Well, what we've wanted to see all along, and our own behaviour has reflected this, is we want to see a constructive conversation. The Queenslanders, the West Australians, more or less every state and territory is engaged in this conversation. Well, the Prime Minister has been very divisive with language about cave dwellers, which has upset the Queenslanders and the Western Australians for good reason, in my view. He should spend less time dividing people over the plan and more time actually working out how to implement it.
Yeah, OK, well, we'll see. And we just need those vaccination rates up. Jim Chalmers, will have to leave it there. Thanks for your time.
For sure.